builds empires. Empires crush nations. The Insider's Game. In theaters now.
Nancy Pelosi just retired with a $270 million fortune. Richard Burr dumped up to $1.7 million in stocks after a classified COVID briefing and warned his brother-in-law before telling the public. Kelly Loeffler sold $3.1 million the same day she got pandemic intel. Representative Tim Burchett just exposed lawmakers giving no-bid contracts to military contractors and buying their stocks before awarding the deals, earning 500 to 600% returns. This is the biggest legalized corruption racket in American history, and both parties are guilty. See, 86% of Americans support banning congressional stock trading, the highest level of consensus on any political issue in modern history. But Congress keeps blocking it. Why? Because they're making a fortune. Apps like Autopilot exist solely to let regular investors mirror congressional trades because the scam is so profitable it can become a financial strategy. When asked if Congress should be banned from trading stocks, Pelosi's answer was one word: no. Their response became a rallying cry for millions of furious Americans who are done watching lawmakers get rich off crises they help create. If this is not stopped now, the message to every future congressperson is clear. Public service is a path to wealth. The people you represent are just marks in a rigged game. And while Congress was trading on inside information, we've got some breaking news that the Trump administration quietly released something major. Under Executive Order 14241, that's right, the Palmer Project in Alaska was named critical for America's mineral independence. Now, Vizsla Copper just acquired it, $3.5 billion in-ground value, with copper, zinc, and silver essential for military and energy infrastructure. Now, this is the same team that built Vizsla Silver into a billion-dollar company. They've now got government backing. When other Alaskan miners got this treatment, shares jumped over 200%. Now, Vizsla trades under VCUFF in the United States, so check the link in the description for their investor presentation down below. So, Tim Burchett going nuclear. He said Congress isn't a swamp. A swamp is something cool that God created. This place is something worse. He said he's fixing to light some folks up over insider trading. The footage shows he's not bluffing. Representative Anna Paulina Luna backed him up, saying, if you want to trade stocks, go to Wall Street. President Trump already confirmed he supports banning congressional insider trading. Even Democrats are starting to crack. Christian Collins ran the numbers. Pelosi made $130 million on stock profits alone. Another pointed out, New Jersey just elected a governor who made $7 million trading stocks while in Congress and isn't even from the state. Here it is. This is Tim Burchett going off and just how bad insider stock trading is in D.C.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Brian. Somebody asked me if I was going to wear my jacket up there, and I said, to quote the immortal words of Henry Winkler when he played the Fonz, I always rumble in this jacket, because that's what we're up against. This is a fist fight, folks. Now, first, I guess I need to thank Chairman Stiles and the committee, the House Admin Administration Committee, for taking this up, because I realize what we're up against. I mean, this is, everybody talks about this place being a dadgum swamp. It's not a swamp. A swamp is something cool God created. It filters water. Animal life lives and flourishes around it. This is a sewer. This is created by man, and it needs to stop. We've, for years, Congress has been using hard-working American taxpayers' money to get rich. Dadgum, it's got to stop. America knows what the heck's going on. Everybody wants to knock Pelosi. Heck, she's not even in the top 10. Get on that Unusual Whales site. This is pathetic, folks. We all know what's going on. Congress knows what the hell's going on, and it needs to stop. This body has been enriching itself on the taxpayers' dime for too dadgum long, and it's got to stop. This place is crooked and is crooked as a dog's leg. That's an old East Tennessee saying, but it's the truth, and it needs to stop. America knows what's going on. We're in committee meetings. We hear things before y'all do. We can make those connections. When you see a member of this body making 400, 500, 600 trades a year, you know something's wrong. Everybody ought to do like I do. I got my buddy Tommy Siler who invested in my mutual fund. I ended up having to cash it out because my daughter's going to school. I'm not a wealthy man. But look, this thing is broken, and it needs to be fixed. And this is the right avenue to do it. And I want to say something. I'm going to get these guys mad at me, but I really don't care because they can't vote in my district. This thing ain't going to pass. We're going to pass something in the House, and then guess what? The Senate will either, one, not take it up, or they'll come back in righteous indignation and say, oh, we need to make this stronger, something totally ridiculous, and they'll send it back to us. This is a scam that's being played on the American public, and it needs to stop. Let's quit with this nonsense. Let's give America a reason to trust Congress for once in our miserable lives. This is our chance to stand up and say, we hear what you're saying, America. We're going to fix this dadgum problem. But we probably won't do it. And I'll remain ticked off the rest of the day because of this. And it needs to stop. I want to thank all these folks, really. I joke around about it. You want to talk about something that, we all working together? Dadgummit, this is the issue. This is the issue where Democrats and Republicans. Dadgummit, if I can stand up here with these two. Yeah, these two. I mean, people back in East Tennessee are going, what in the heck's Burchett doing sitting next to Proud Paul, for goodness sakes? Well, I'm not going to beat her in her district, and she sure as heck ain't going to come down to East Tennessee and beat me. But this is an issue that America's united on. We ought to get behind this thing. You all in the press, it would make a hell of a lot of sense. Thank you, Proud Paul. Thank you,
Thank you,
Seth. Thank you, Burr.
Dadgummit, right? You got to love it, man. You got to love it. Let's keep going because let's go to, this is back in September of this year, but this clip looks like it's older with Tucker Carlson talking to Kelly Loeffler.
Tell us tonight, been very clear, unlike Senator Burr, as I said, who hasn't really explained how this happened, though I think it's pretty evident. You said right away, I didn't know this happened. I had nothing to do with it. I learned on February 16th. So can you tell us tonight who specifically made this decision to sell these equities, and why do you think they made that decision?
Well, Tucker, let me start at the beginning. When I was appointed to the Senate, what I did is I spent time with lawyers making sure I understood not only SEC requirements around being in the Senate, because I come from the private sector. I have 20 years of experience in financial services.
Right.
But I also spent time making sure I understood the Stock Act and the rules under the Senate Ethics Committee for how we perform our financial transactions. I decided that I was going to maintain the same posture that I had in the financial services industry, which was to have a third-party person that was a set of advisors that were fully charged and able to make these transactions on my own so that I did not have to be involved in any of the decision making around these financial transactions. And that worked very well in the private sector. It kept us from having to have concerns around insider trading. And that's what I maintained in the Senate. And that has allowed me to be able to work hard for the American people and focus on the things that I came here to Washington to do.
Okay, I understand that. Let me just back up, though, and ask you. So there are in the set of transactions that have become publicly available, there are 27 of them, as we noted, were sell, 2 were buy. It was a pretty strong market at the time. A lot of people weren't doing what you did, and the stocks that were shed, some of them, not all, I mean, this is a mixed bag to some extent, but some of them were stocks that really got hammered. So I'm just wondering, I'm not accusing you of anything, but I'm wondering again, who specifically made that decision for you, and on what basis do you think?
So, Tucker, that would be the financial advisors that are charged with conducting trades in our portfolios, which we don't have a say over. And, I think the most important thing is that I am informed only after those trades are made. I have nothing, in terms of a say in what buys and sells are executed, what that timing is, and I'm only advised after it happens, almost concurrent with the public reporting that we do here.
Right. Been very clear.
But what does Representative Anna Paulina Luna have to say? We have the clip here. Here she is, 72 hours ago.
And this Congresswoman, you introduced a resolution earlier this year to advance the End Congressional Stock Trading Act. And this Wednesday, the House is going to hold a hearing on whether members of Congress should be allowed to trade stocks. Congresswoman, what do you expect we're going to hear on Wednesday?
Well, look, I can tell you that a majority of Americans, both Democrat, Republican, and Independent, do not support members of Congress being able to individually stock trade because of people like Nancy Pelosi, who made 17,000% returns on her investments. And on average, for members that do engage in stock trading, the average return is 600%. So I tell my colleagues, if you want to stock trade, go to Wall Street. But I think the hearing is going to repeat what we already know, and that there's a problem with it. Even the Speaker of the House will tell you that certain members have taken advantage and that there's insider trading and information. So proud to report the president has already made public statements that he supports banning the insider trading that currently happens in the House. I hope to do it. Now, obviously, I'm sure you can imagine it's made me wildly unpopular among my colleagues, but popular among the American people, which is what counts.
So it looks like this is going to finally come to an end. We'll see if it actually gets any legs in the in Congress. Congress politicians should not be playing the stock market while making laws. Here's video of a congressman trading stocks actively on the floor. Stock trading ban for members of Congress received a hearing in the House today. Momentum behind the bipartisan effort has grown as lawmakers continue to push GOP leadership to allow a ban.
Angela and Well, some lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to ban members of Congress from trading stocks.
Yeah, and today members of the House held a hearing on this proposal. Washington correspondent Kristen Eskow is live for us in D.C. Kristen, this is one of those few proposals where we see bipartisan support.
Well, that's right, Rod and Angela, and momentum for this legislation has been growing. Today's hearing was a significant step forward given that previous efforts to pass a ban like this have failed. Lawmakers from both parties argue it's way overdue.
We will get this done this Congress, mark my words.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers is pressing on with a bill to ban members of Congress from trading stocks, alleging that too many of them have an unfair advantage.
Members of Congress have access to all kinds of inside information that the average member of the public does not. So the opportunity for corruption is unacceptable.
This is a fist fight, folks. This body has been enriching itself on the taxpayers' dime for too dadgum long, and it's got to stop.
The Restore Trust in Congress Act received a hearing on Capitol Hill Wednesday. It would require members of Congress and close family members to divest from stocks within 6 months. Newly elected members would have 90 days. Lawmakers who violate the policy would have to pay a penalty of 10% of the investment's worth. Wow. Republican Brian Stile chairs the committee.
While rules already govern how public officials trade stocks, stronger restrictions may be necessary to restore public trust and ensure officials are not profiting from their positions.
President Trump has previously expressed support for a stock trading ban, as he told reporters in July.
Conceptually, I like it, and what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who has faced criticism for her husband's stock trading, endorsed a ban earlier this year. Now, as for the current House Speaker, Mike Johnson has expressed support for a stock trading ban, but hasn't committed to putting a specific bill on the floor for a vote.
Like I said, we'll see if it actually comes to fruition. These members of Congress saw the biggest rise in stock portfolios in 2024. Richard Burr, Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman, had the most access to classified information between January 24th and February 13th. He sold $628 million to $101.7 million in stocks. He even warned his brother-in-law at a private gathering, but said nothing publicly about the coming crash.
Asia. Selling stocks shortly before the pandemic caused the markets to drop. KCAL 9's Amy Johnson has details.
Senator Richard Burr of North Carolina sold between $600,000 and $1.7 million worth of stock in late January and mid-February, about a week before the U.S. market started to slide and as lawmakers started to get daily briefings about the growing health crisis in Asia. The sales came around the same time that the Republican who chairs the Senate Intelligence Committee wrote an op-ed assuring Americans the U.S. was prepared to deal with the pandemic, and also spoke to a small group warning of severe consequences. On Twitter Thursday, Burr said Americans were already being warned and his message was to be prepared. Georgia's junior Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler, who is married to the New York Stock Exchange chairman, sold off hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks starting in late January. On Twitter, she said her transactions were made by advisors and she wasn't even aware of them until weeks later.
Oh, my goodness. Nancy Pelosi made so much suspicious congressional wealth gains. Pelosi made millions on tech stocks before antitrust votes. Richard Burr sold millions before the crash. Kelly Loeffler dumped stocks the same day as her COVID briefing. A legal money-making scheme. Donald Trump's administration, not even going to play that. Let's see what we have here. New Jersey just elected a woman to the governorship who's not even from the state and who made $7 million in stock trading from Congress. November 6th, Pelosi officially retiring from Congress at age 85. During her time in public service, her net worth skyrocketed over $270 million.
7 years to make. Nancy Pelosi just made $3 million in 3 hours. That's 17 times her annual salary. She owns a $200,000 Porsche 911 and multiple estates worth over $5 million apiece. It would take you 27 years to make that much money. She is only in Congress to get rich, and she is very good at it. Nancy Pelosi just made $3
Oh, yeah. She's very good at it, isn't she? Here, Christian Collins. $130 million? That's how much Pelosi has earned in stock profits through her 38-year Congress reign. $130 million.
Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be. Because this is a free market and we're a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
Yeah, but you have inside knowledge, Nancy. Here we have more from Anna Paulina Luna.
If you want, that gives
on the PBD
Congress
podcast
such a bad reputation. If you wanted to know why the American people hate Congress so much, it's like, look no further than insider trading. Banning insider trading for members of Congress is one of the most bipartisan, popular issues in this country. And yet, when I informed the leadership that I was going to be doing, and actually did a press conference, I said, hey, I will give you to the end of September, which ironically enough, we're not in, there's a shutdown right now, so I couldn't bring it. But when we get back, we will be pushing for it. But I told them I'm going to do it at the end of this month. They basically, in a group chat with me and Representative Burchett, someone said, you're forcing your colleagues to take a bad vote, and some people use this to pay for their kids' college education. And, you're going to cost us the midterm elections, and, this could hurt the republic.
This is a conservative saying this.
We're going to call them that. So, but all that to say that, for me specifically, when you're hearing that, and I'm like, what are you talking about? The founding fathers did not have stock portfolios. And by the way, they weren't schlepping it to Washington, D.C., and they weren't going to be there the entire time. This is not a long-term goal for them. But what it's become is it's evolved into this nasty machine where people do this full time and they have no issues insider trading and all that. I was like, I'm saving the republic. I'm not breaking it. What are you talking about? If you have, these invested portfolios that are going into the defense industry or the pharmaceutical industry, how would you ever be expected to advocate for those people, right? So this gets into, do we need campaign that?
So yesterday, Congress held a hearing on banning stock trading. Okay? The emissions they've made, congressional trading is so profitable, it's spawned a tech industry. That should be the final nail in the coffin. But the establishment's fighting back hard. They know once this fails, their entire financial empire collapses. Burr, Loeffler, Pelosi, they all got caught. And the question now is whether pressure from voters, whistleblowers, even President Trump will be enough to force that change. So this is the clearest example of a rigged system in American politics. Lawmakers receive classified briefings on pandemics and wars, economic crashes, then trade on that information while telling the public everything's fine. They award contracts to companies and buy the stocks. They regulate industries and invest in them. And when confronted, they say banning it would be unfair. Unfair to who? Certainly not the American people who lose their savings while Congress gets richer. Representative Tim Burchett, he's right to be furious, and so is Anna Paulina Luna. So are the 86% of Americans demanding that this stops. If Congress won't pass a ban, voters need to make a litmus test in every single election. So do you support a total ban on congressional stock trading, yes or no? Let us know in the comments. And why don't you grab some Next News merch while you're at it? If this segment opened your eyes, tap subscribe.